So if you've been in the Dcla fandom for just a bit, you might soon discover all the queer headcanons, ships, theories, and just how many queer people there are in the fandom. From what I've noticed, many people, not saying all of you, but many people, have at least 2 non-canon queer ships that they really like. Sometimes they prefer it over the canon ship, and other times they multi-ship and enjoy both someone's canon ship and non-canon ship. I've done both. I love Violetta and Leon, but I equally ship Violetta and Francesca. That's why I enjoy watching Violetta so much. I always win in some way. But then there's Jim and Jam, where I don't ship them with any canon love interest they have and only ship them with other girls, preferably with each other, but I can toy around with them being with other girls too. What is very typical for many Dcla fans, especially those who saw them as kids, was that as kids they didn't really think much about it and probably only saw what was happening in canon. But then we rewatched it when we got older and holy shit, this is gay. Like, this experience has happened to so many people. It happened to me with Violetta, and I didn't watch Luna until I was 18, so that show I had a gay lens from the very beginning, because Violetta opened it up for me. And yeah, and like, it starts with sexuality headcanons. You kind of feel awkward about it at first, like shyly presenting, hey, I think maybe Ludmilla and Nati are lesbians, and maybe Camila is queer too. And then you just start seeing it in everyone. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and suddenly every single character is queer, except for like a token straight. For me, the token straight is Broadway and Violetta, and in Soy Luna, I have no clue who is the token straight. Nico, maybe. Bia has a lot more straight people according to me, but we'll talk about that later. Why do people so easily have sexuality headcanons for them? I think in fandoms in general, a bigger group often is queer. Like, just like in fandoms, often a bigger group is neurodivergent, for example, which is also why you may encounter a lot of neurodivergent headcanons for the characters as well. And it started a bit the same with people going, oh hey, I think Luna has some traits of ADHD. And then you start going, hey, I think Andres might be autistic. And then suddenly you start diagnosing everything and everyone. And just like you have a token straight, you now have a token neurotypical. But you don't need to be neurodivergent to have neurodivergent headcanons, nor do you have to be queer to make queer headcanons. But why is it that so many queer people get into these shows? Many people even have claimed to have gotten their queer awakenings from them. Many have especially gotten it from Ambar. Like, I've seen at least 11 people admit to having her as their queer awakening. So is that why queer people like the shows? Because they got the hots for Ambar? No. But I also got a queer awakening from this Dcla show, but from Violetta. It was a mix of the on-beat performance and the CS Paramore performance, and to be honest, Leon and Violetta specifically in season 3. I went through puberty at the time, and I found both of them attractive. I think I found a majority of the characters attractive, and that contributed to my bisexual awakening. So yeah, this is a reason queer people are into the show. It literally caused an awakening for us. The funny thing is that everyone in the show are quote-unquote straight, if you just see it from a canon lens, and you could keep seeing everything as straight if you so choose. I mean, it would be a little boring to not include some rainbow lens in your life, but I know that some people have the philosophy of, if nothing is explicitly said, no, I will not think about their sexuality. However, they may say that and still in the same beat assume everyone is straight, when technically they could all be bisexual or asexual or pansexual. You can be attracted to several genders and still only date one gender in your life. It doesn't erase your attraction for the other genders. And you know, we also headcanon some characters as gay, even though they show attractiveness to the opposite gender. But that can be anything from compulsory heterosexuality to them just being really closeted, or to maybe not even know they're gay yet. Luna is perhaps the character I have the hardest time to pinpoint. I feel like in a lot of the show, she gets pushed to date boys and pursue boys, and very often it seems like she's not that into it herself. It's like she can barely look at a boy before someone comments she must like him, because she looked at him. I really like the concept of lesbian Luna, but the thing is, I have to realize she genuinely feels attractiveness to boys that I don't think Jim and Jam, for example, feel. I have a 2-hour video about Jim and Jam if you want to see that. But I think Luna is asexual. I do think that even if she does feel some attraction, she's not really interested in pursuing it, and she much more seems to prefer being friends. But I can't say she's aromantic. I'm more into the idea that she's pan-romantic, and this comes from me originally thinking she was pansexual when first watching the show, before I realized she was very uninterested in dating that way. I could also see her being demi-romantic, but it's hard. She's a bit hard to crack. I've heard rumors about there being an actual LGBTQ plus character in the new season of Soy Luna. If that is true, I low-key hope it's a girl that is crushing on Luna. The only problem is that Disney would not dare to make one of their established characters who only dated boys before be interested in a girl. So Luna would turn her down and tell her that she doesn't like her in that way, or that she doesn't like girls in that way, which would be a bummer, cause let's be real, if any Dcla main character wouldn't be straight, it would be Luna. And also, if Luna did reciprocate the girl's feelings, then so many people would assume she was suddenly a lesbian, because people forget that bisexuals and pansexuals exist, and then we'd have a full discussion that would be very tiring about what Luna's sexuality possibly could be. Plus all the homophobia that would arise. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The new character might be someone not even into Luna. It might be someone entirely else. Maybe it's just like the one episode character that shows up and you barely know they're LGBTQ+ unless you knew it beforehand, just to keep the censors happy. But you know, even if every character is quote-unquote straight, a lot of the actors seem to support the idea of the characters being queer. Facundo, who played Maxi, openly said that he wanted Maxi to be gay, and Mechi, who played Ludmila, once joked that Ludmila and Camila would be together.
Muchos años y se enamoran. Y Camila y Ludmila también.
¡Ay, me encanta!
Sí, porque Federico muere.
Claro. Federico, caput.
So clearly, they're open for it. And that can possibly invite people to try out some non-canon queer ships for themselves. Not to mention, a lot of the actors are LGBTQ+ themselves, so there's that too. Can it also be that performing arts have a higher group of queer people in them? Is roller skating a gay sport? Okay, I'm trying to find reasons why queer people can get into this show, but I don't think there's a concrete answer. I think it can be a lot of things, but there's one thing I noticed especially in Violetta. In season 1, Violetta hides from her dad that she wants to sing. She hides a big part of herself from him, because she's deeply afraid of what he'll do if he finds out. Her dad also treats singing like some sort of alternative lifestyle that makes him uncomfortable. He has heard Violetta sing several times in her room or by the piano, and he immediately tells her to stop. At one point, he goes to the studio and seems disgusted at all the singing and dancing he sees. He warns people to not let Violetta get close to it because singing might corrupt her. Meanwhile, Violetta expresses how much she hates lying and how much she wants to come clean, come out, and let the weight of her shoulder disappear, but she's too afraid to do so when she sees how German reacts to singing in general. And in the context of the show, it's because her mom was a singer and died, and German is afraid the same thing will happen to Violetta. And they probably didn't think this was a metaphor for anything at all. But the way Violetta has to hide who she is from her father, and the way he reacts to singing, feels very reminiscent of a traditional father who is afraid his child is going to turn out queer, and his child is secretly hiding a queer lifestyle from him. I know that's not what the show intended, but I think a lot of queer kids who have had to hide who they are from people close to them out of fear probably can relate to what Violetta is going through. Even in the context of the show, it's something different. The shows are also good at celebrating differences. If we go back to Violetta again, Ser Mejor is a pride anthem. Like, there's a lot of songs we can analyze and who we can use and that can be used as a pride vibe, but Ser Mejor specifically celebrates people's differences in many colors, just love and 1,000 songs. Meanwhile, Bia, for example, is also heavy in the be yourself message. But as mentioned before, to me, Bia is one of the straighter Dcla shows. Many people claim that when you have a lot of sexuality headcanons, you just want to keep making everything gay. But like, I can also see a show and just feel like there's a lot of straightness here. I think the only two characters I fully headcanon as queer are Celeste and Pixie. Helena can also be pansexual as a treat, but otherwise I just feel like people are straight. There's nothing wrong with being straight. The show is all about being yourself, and if yourself is being straight, then be free and be you. But the constant message about being yourself and embracing who you are, of course all the shows have that, but when it's constantly being said and not so much shown, it feels a little superficial. Like, yeah, I hear your message, but I also feel like you're putting on an act for the camera. Which, I mean, Bia is about a lot of social media and being an influencer, so of course there's gonna be some acting in front of the camera. Social media played a role in the other shows too, but I feel like I could appreciate the characters being unapologetically themselves a lot more, because they showed it more than explicitly said it. In Bia, they could act like themselves and then verbally go, yeah, I'm crazy and silly, that is being myself, I love being myself and so should you, don't forget to like and subscribe. Violetta's message of being yourself comes in by her wanting acceptance for who she is by the people she loves most. Her father, German, can kind of be compared to the parents of a queer kid, who is against them being anything other than cishet at first, but slowly accepts them and supports them. Priscilla is another parent that just feels homophobic. I'm not saying that just because I'm headcanon Ludmilla as a lesbian. I'm also saying that because of her judgment of people she finds different from herself. Like the way she hates Nati for existing and she thinks Nati will corrupt Ludmilla. Like, had gay people been canon in the show, then Priscilla would be homophobic. In Soy Luna, I think being yourself just comes from just letting people be how they are. Luna is always unapologetically herself, and she's not gonna change. In comparison, Ambar constantly puts up an act and can never truly be fully herself. Nor do I think she even knows who her true self is. I think Ambar is bisexual, and I would only think she was a lesbian if it wasn't for Simone, to be honest. But, I mean, bisexual or lesbian, she can definitely be analyzed from the perspective of being closeted or hiding who she is, because she's terrified of no longer being loved if she isn't exactly like Sharon wants her to be. She's kind of similar to Violetta in that way, especially how Sharon is also stuck in her ways like German was. But she's more of a lost cause than German, because German at least tried to change himself. But then there's Nina's storyline. Some people would claim Nina is the token straight, and I have agreed in the past, but she also says so many out of context queer stuff. And I also ship her a bit too much with Luna to be able to see her as straight. And her whole storyline is about how she's hiding who she really is with Felicity for now. Her storyline is coming out of her shell. Then in Soy Luna, there's also these storylines where I truly feel like they had some intentions they couldn't execute, particularly with Anna and Mora. Like, why did they want them to have a storyline about them moving in together? Why was it a whole thing? What was honestly the whole point of it? What was the point of Mora's character? What was the point of Anna having a hard time dating men? And yes, she dated Gary in season 3, but was that the original plan? I also, by the way, love how so many people headcanon Maxi as trans. Like, this has been unrelated to each other too. People have just come on their own and collectively have decided that Maxi is trans. And if you never have heard a headcanon that Maxi is trans, do you agree with it? Because a lot of people agree that Maxi is trans in the places that I have been in the fandom. Anyway, I think the question of why queer people love the Dcla shows does not really have a concrete answer. Like, I've been trying to write down possible explanations, and I don't think I have a good answer. I've brought up a lot of notes here. I'm not sure how to tie all of them all together or conclude them. These shows are also so long that there's a lot of aspects that is easy to forget too. There's characters and there's themes I also could have brought up. Especially more of the songs, because there's definitely more songs you can analyze in a rainbow lens. But yeah, I think it's wonderful the Dcla fandom is such a queer-heavy space, and I think the shows can speak to us for different reasons. Whether it's the vibes that are so fantastic, or maybe we can relate to the themes of the shows or whatever. I am terrible at ending videos, and I think this is a type of video that brings an open discussion to the table. So leave some comments if you have an idea of why the shows are so loved by queer people, or if you think anything or anyone in the show is queer-coded in one way or another. Happy Pride Month! I'll see you next time. Goodbye.